Hi everyone, hope you're well. So it is Saturday the 4th of May 2013, May the 4th be with you. And I don't have a whole lot to talk about today. I was playing Grand Theft Auto for a while earlier, and then Vice City, for anyone interested. I decided to go back and play it, so I never actually completed it. And what else? Oh yeah, and then I recorded Minecraft show, and I've just recorded my Minecraft LP, and I'm waiting. That's currently exporting. So but nothing that eventful today. But something I was thinking about. So it's going to be a subject vlog. Is if I start out by saying the first thing that I don't like is negativity, and I try and avoid it whenever possible. I try and avoid being negative. I try and avoid moaning. Those of you who follow me on Twitter know that I don't necessarily, I do slip up. I do occasionally moan about stuff. The thing that nearly always catches me out is because I believe so strongly in not moaning about things, in not complaining and just getting on with it. And, like I was saying before about finding your own answer and just, and also like not obsessing about pointless things and not being entitled to stuff that you don't deserve, and stuff, and being thankful rather than entitled, and all of that business. I don't like moaning, and so I try not to moan, and I probably moan quite a lot in these vlogs as well, actually. I especially don't like moaning about other people, or kind of like bitching about other people, if I can at all avoid it, and the one thing that does catch me out is moaning about people moaning, because it's like a rule that I try and keep so much that when I see other people moaning, I'm like, oh, they're so stupid for moaning, they're so entitled, or they're so, who do they think they are, or whatever. So, but I don't like negativity in general, and that's part of kind of like my wider views, whatever beliefs. Is about being positive and everything, and so something I realised that I find recently I've almost find as annoying as negativity, and I guess in a way it kind of is a form of negativity, and but I keep on seeing people. It was triggered by one thing today. I guess I'm not going to give the exact examples, but I can think of like three things recently, and the most recent being today, the second most recent being yesterday. So it really came to mind. But the attitude of someday, and if I had enough money, or and blah blah blah, the kind of dreams where it's good to have dreams, but you have to turn them into goals. And I just feel like it's almost as bad as saying someday I'll do something. It's almost as bad as saying I wish I could do that, which I wish I could do that implies that you can't and you never will. Saying someday I'd like to is like virtually the same. It's marginally better, but it's virtually the same as saying, oh, I wish one day. And the implication really, in my opinion, is negative. And maybe it's because I'm so hardline about, or I try and be, I do fail a lot, but I try and be very positive about everything, and I try to never be negative about anything. And because I feel so strongly about that, I think this attitude of someday or maybe, or if I had enough money, is almost just as bad, and it's something worth thinking about if you find yourself doing it. And I think the remedy is, the one that gets me the most is when people say, I don't have enough money, or because you can save up for stuff, right? So when people say, oh, I don't have enough money to do that, you say, well, how much money do you need to do that? And they say, oh, well, I you don't actually know how much. Usually when people say, oh, I don't have enough money to do that, they don't know what the price tag is. So the first thing, if it's you either really want to do something, or you don't. And so make up your mind. And I said, and if it's something you kind of want to do, I think you should go for it. But don't just be like, oh, when I have enough money, when you don't even know what that amount of money is. Otherwise, it's just an abstract idea in your mind. Find out specifically how much it costs, right? Find out specifically, and then you still probably won't have enough money. You're probably right, but then at least you know how much money you would need to do that. And then once you have that information, that's something that you can work towards. That's, that becomes a goal. That becomes something that is like, oh, and quite often you might be surprised that it might cost a lot less than you expect. Because when it's an abstract idea, it's just this abstract idea of a lot of money, But when you actually find out, how much it costs to go and visit a certain country or something, once you worked it all out, it might be a lot less than you expect. And then you're like, oh, actually that's, I can't do it immediately, but actually maybe I could save up that money to do that. And then, and then you get stuff done, But, yeah, so it frustrates me because it's an excuse. It's excuses, which is almost as bad as... Is it negativity or not? I'm not quite sure. But I think just, be specific about stuff. Find out specifics. Don't just be like, oh, someday, oh, one day, or when I retire, or, what, just try and be a bit more proactive. And I'm not really having a go. I'm trying to sort of like be encouraging, but it's not something I'm very good at. I always come across like I'm having a go. But yeah, if there's something that you feel like, you have a dream or something, like I'm planning on going to Japan, for example, in a couple of years, and I actually haven't priced up everything, but I'm not like, oh, one day I'll go to Japan. Although I guess maybe I am a bit. Maybe it's something I need to sort out a bit more. But you need to know exactly how much money you need, and then you can save towards it, and then it becomes a lot simpler. And something in general about when something is an abstract idea in your mind, you can never think logically about it. And so you have to do the same thing. Lots of stuff. I think it's good to actually think it through logically, like especially when something's outside of your comfort zone as well, like you're like, oh, I don't think I really want to do that. Actually logically think out, like you write down a list of pros and cons or whatever, why you don't want to do it, what's the worst case scenario, like literally what's the worst thing that could happen, Dr. Pepper advert, what's the worst thing that could happen. And then you'll usually find when you've actually worked it out, and sometimes you'll realise the thing you're worried about might actually be illogical or might just be so unlikely to happen. And then even if it did, it's not going to kill you or something. Like, for example, when I got into first, before I ever did vlogs on YouTube or anything, I used to do a vlog channel before my Minecraft channel. A channel that doesn't exist anymore. It's the first time I ever put my face on YouTube. I'd done Warcraft Machinimas before that, but I was always off camera. But I got into vlogging and I put my face on camera, and I knew I wanted to do it because I watched a lot of vloggers, and I felt like, yeah, I want to do that, but I felt really uncomfortable, and I had to work out why, and I realised my number one fear was that people would recognise me in the street and what, and it's like, and what, and not like me or something. And then I realised, well, the chances of someone recognising me in the street are like minuscule, unless, and I'd only be likely to be recognised occasionally. Like looking at the very top YouTubers on YouTube, they seem to get recognised occasionally in the street, and they're like the top YouTubers out of millions and millions of channels. So, so the chance of becoming one of the very top YouTubers is also absolutely minuscule. So I just realised this whole fear I had was completely unfounded. And also, I thought, yeah, and the worst, and so what, if someone recognises you in the street, they might go, hey, I really love your videos, and they might be a fan, and that would be nice. It would be really weird and odd, but it would be nice. And, but the fear is that, oh, someone who doesn't like me will recognise me in the street, and will come up to you and go, oh, you're an idiot, or whatever. That's even, again, that's not the only possibility. There's a possibility someone would recognise you in the street who doesn't like you. The biggest possibility is actually they wouldn't approach you and they wouldn't say anything, and you wouldn't even realise that they'd recognised you. They just shut up, and they'd have no interest in talking to you. So again, I realised that was my main concern when I actually thought about it, and then I thought, oh yeah, screw it, that's never going to happen. And then I started vlogging and putting my face on camera, and I didn't care, because I thought, get over myself. I'm not going to become world famous and not be able to go out in the street without being recognised. Still nobody is going to know who I am, because all your viewers are completely spread out all over the world. So anyway, yeah, it's good to actually... Yeah, so that's about anxieties and stuff outside your comfort zone, which maybe the whole someday thing is as well. A kind of, oh, I'd like to do that someday, but it probably costs a lot of money, and it's it'll probably take a lot of effort and stuff. So one day I'll do it. So I think again it's that same thing of it being an abstract idea, and it's just outside of your comfort zone, and you're like, it's easier to just, I'll do it later. It's easier to do it later, and you don't want to end up like, if you've seen Up by Pixar, you don't want to end up being that old guy or the old woman at the beginning of that film who never went on their adventure. So don't just someday it. If you want to do something, be really specific, work it out specifically, and then the actual, what you would actually specifically need to do it, and then it's a lot more likely to happen. When something's just an abstract idea, is never a good thing. You should always sort of like actually try and... There's kind of two subjects mixed into one. I kind of got sidetracked, but I hope that's my opinion on the matter anyway. I hope that's something to think about, and maybe might be useful advice for someone out there. So anyway, I hope you have a good day, and I hope you're well, and I will see you tomorrow.